everyone, and welcome to AIPACAST, Amplifying Voices of AIPA. And in this podcast, we will explore the world of ASEAN through conversations with prominent figures, experts, including the AIPA member parliaments, who will share their insights and experiences on a wide range of topics. Now, adapting to the theme, Fostering Synergy, Advancing Women, Peace and Security Agenda in ASEAN, today's AIPACAST episode will explore the significance of women participation in decision-making processes to build peace. Simultaneously, we will delve into efforts undertaken at the regional level. So before we continue, let's welcome our guests. This episode of AIPACAST is very special because we have not only one, but two special guests joining us. And we are currently in the Lao National Assembly building in Vientiane. Honorable, on my right side is Honorable Kheng Samvada, and to my left side is Mr. Jamshed Kazi. Honorable Kheng and Mr. Jamshed, how are you both today? Feeling fresh? Right, good. I know that it has been a long day, a morning, but thank you so much for joining us here. It's an honor to have you both as our guests in our third episode of AIPACAST. Now, Honorable Kheng Samvada, she is the former focal point of Cambodia to the ASEAN Committee of Women, which is shortly known as ACW, and the head of the advisory working group to develop the ASEAN Regional Plan of Action on Women, Peace and Security in 2021 till 2022. And Honorable is currently serving as a Member of Parliament of the National Assembly of Cambodia. We have also, next to me is Mr. Jamshed Kazi, the UN Women Country Representative to Indonesia and liaison to ASEAN. The UN Women is the global custodian of the Women, Peace and Security Agenda and has been at the forefront of supporting its implementation. So what does the Women, Peace and Security Agenda mean? And why is it essential to be adopted at all levels? Now we will delve deeper into this topic with our experts, Honorable Kheng Samvada and Mr. Jamshed Kazi. Now, Mr. Jamshed Kazi, the UNSC resolution on women, peace and security in the year 2000 was a remarkable event that recognized the importance of women in the issues of peace and security. And based on this breakthrough event, could you please elaborate on the origins of the UN resolution on women, peace and security adopted by the UNSC in 2000 and shed light on the reasons behind its adoption?
Well, thank you very much, Ibu Yanti, for inviting me on this AIPA podcast, and it's a pleasure to join also with Madam Kheng Samvada here in the beautiful capital of Laos, Vientiane. It has been more than 2 decades since the landmark UN Security Council Resolution 1325 was adopted in 2000. And it is hard to think of any other resolution more well known for its name, number, and content other than Resolution 1325. Since then, 9 subsequent UN security resolutions have made up the WPS agenda. More recently, the UN Security Council Resolution 2538 on women in peacekeeping was adopted in August 2020 under the leadership of Indonesia as the president of the UN Security Council. This is also highly relevant to the Women, Peace and Security Agenda and priorities of ASEAN. It is such an honor to witness progress made in ASEAN with strong commitment at the highest level to move the agenda forward. The WPS agenda is founded on a simple but revolutionary idea that international peace is linked to equality between women and men. It recognizes that women's experiences in conflict and post-conflict are different from that of men, and that understanding is key to achieving long-lasting peace. Simultaneously, in October 2013, the CEDAW committee also adopted General Recommendation 30. So together with the UN Security Council Resolution 1325, these normative frameworks ensure that gender equality becomes integral to conflict prevention, peace building, and post-conflict reconstruction and accountability. So WPS focuses on 4 pillars. These include protection against sexual and gender-based violence, promoting women's participation in peace and security processes, and supporting their role as peace builders in the prevention of conflict, as well as in relief and recovery from conflict and disasters.
Thank you so much. Now we'll move on to Ms. Honorable Kheng Samvada. Now in 2021, the ASEAN Regional Study on Women, Peace and Security recommended in the development of a regional plan of action on WPS. And as the head and advisory working group, can you share with us what are the challenges when integrating the UN WPS agenda into the ASEAN context? Honorable.
Thank you, Danti. If we speak about the challenges when integrating the UN WPS agenda into ASEAN context, we need to bear in mind that ASEAN is a diverse region with different priorities among member states. So the WPS agenda should be integrated in the most contextualized and tailored way to respond to security concerns both at regional and national levels. The ASEAN RPA on WPS was developed during the COVID-19 pandemic, and many consequences of this crisis have not yet been fully understood or measured. So the implementation of this RPA WPS will therefore need to be agile, informed by new and updated data, and taking into account the differential impacts of the pandemic on women, men, and vulnerable groups. In the post-pandemic context, ASEAN should leverage the WPS agenda to effectively prevent conflict, insecurity, and emerging security threats, and to ensure women's engagement and needs are met in post-COVID recovery efforts. The strategies to advance the WPS agenda in the ASEAN region should be responsive to the challenges of the 21st century. It should include ensuring women's participation in preparedness and response to both traditional and emerging security issues and concerns, such as COVID-19 recovery, threats to cybersecurity, climate change, and resilient planning. Second is increasing the meaningful participation of women in peacekeeping, peacemaking, and peace-building efforts. Ensuring that women are fully involved as equal partners from the earliest stage in every peace and political process. Another thing is WPS is still misunderstood, considered as a woman issue. So identifying and working with champions and advocates, including male leaders, in the implementation of the WPS agenda is critical to effective governance and sustainable peace. Bringing together an ASEAN regional WPS community of practice among government institutions, civil society organizations, development partners, academic experts could further enable multi-stakeholder partnerships and governance for policy success.
Now, moving on to the development of the Regional Action Plan on WPS, Honorable Kheng Samvada, could you share your insights on the development process and the steps taken to ensure inclusivity throughout the whole process?
So, thank you. ASEAN is committed to advancing WPS agenda as a regional priority agenda through the implementation of UN Security Council Resolution 1325 and through concerted multi-sectoral efforts and partnership. The adoption of the joint statement on WPS in ASEAN by the ASEAN leaders in 2017 was a key milestone to recognize the critical roles of women in peace building, conflict prevention, resolution, and recovery in the region. This has been reiterated at the first regional symposium on implementing the WPS Agenda in ASEAN, which was held in August 2019 in Phnom Penh, Cambodia. And subsequently, we also have the ASEAN Ministerial Dialogue on strengthening women's role for sustainable peace and security in September 2020, resulting in the joint communique by the foreign ministers. In 2021, the first regional study on women, peace, and security in ASEAN was launched at the International Women's Day. This is to reaffirm the region's commitment to gender equality, women's leadership, and its integration into the ASEAN Comprehensive Recovery Framework and the ASEAN Vision post-2025. Formulating the ASEAN Regional Plan of Action on Women, Peace, Security is not only a recommendation from the WPS regional study, but it is a mandatory step to render the strategy, direction, and clarity to all actors involved. To ensure inclusivity throughout the process, an ASEAN Advisory Group on WPS consisting of sectoral bodies from the 3 ASEAN community pillars have been established to oversee the formulation of the RPA. So the group developed the RPA on WPS through a consultative process with key stakeholders across the 3 ASEAN communities. And the ASEAN Advisory Group disseminated the findings of the regional study on WPS in parallel with the rollout of the ASEAN Gender Mainstreaming Strategic Framework. The group also mainstreamed WPS within ASEAN sectoral bodies, organs, entities, and processes. And why also we focus on capacity building and building commitment of everyone to the implementation of the WPS agenda, as well as ensuring continued support for WPS dialogue and cooperation efforts. The key consideration in the development of the RPA WPS is that to increase ASEAN context and ownership of WPS, to ensure consultative process and engagement with key stakeholders throughout the process, to engage multi-sectors across ASEAN community pillars, to ensure the visibility and sustained communication strategies. The architecture of WPS agenda is very specific to the region. It is ASEAN-led in terms of mechanism and process, multi-sectoral, cross-pillar, agile, and responsive to emerging non-traditional security issues such as COVID-19 and to ever-changing regional landscape. It is inclusive, transformative, and empowering, and embedded in ASEAN integration and community building efforts. I have learned a lot from the process of developing the draft RPA, as each country and sector have diverse but complementing views and priorities for each WPS pillar. So we, as a group, we believe in leveraging experiences and expertise from various stakeholders at different levels to ensure that this ASEAN RPA on WPS is responsive and relevant not only to all the 3 ASEAN pillars, but also to wider engagement with dialogue partners, academia, civil society, and relevant stakeholders at regional, global, and national levels. At the end, I would like to say that the adoption of this ASEAN RPA on WPS is crucial and very meaningful to women and girls in the region. Firstly, it means that there's a high level of political will and commitment to forge ahead with this WPS agenda. Secondly, it means that the contributions of women and girls to sustain peace and security will be recognized. And last but not least, it means that women and girls will be acknowledged as agents for change, and that their roles in conflict prevention, peace building, and mediation are visible with a robust plan and framework for all stakeholders to support them even better. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Samvada. So I'll move on to Mr. Jamshed. Now, UN Women has been a crucial partner in developing the ASEAN RPA on WPS, especially since the ASEAN Regional Study on WPS. Now, could you elaborate more on the role played by UN Women and detail the support provided by UN Women to facilitate this process?
Thank you. Allow me to provide a brief background as to why the Women, Peace and Security Agenda is more relevant than ever in the context of ASEAN. First of all, the region is facing new and emerging challenges, including non-traditional peace and security threats that are increasingly transboundary. These include pandemic, violent extremism, climate security and disasters, mass displacement, natural resource management, and all of which are drivers of conflict and can undermine peace-building efforts. It requires effective regional responses and cooperation among the ASEAN member states. Secondly, the COVID-19 pandemic reinforced pre-existing gender inequalities. The spread of misinformation and disinformation, increasing discrimination of marginalized groups has threatened to destabilize social cohesion, exacerbating the subnational and local conflicts. And lastly, the use of certain emergency and security responses have gendered impacts, and there is a risk of further backsliding human rights of women and marginalized groups. And as Madam Samvada mentioned, WPS Agenda is not simply a women's agenda, but it is an approach that can offer a unique value to advance ASEAN's regional and multilateral cooperation in responding to both persistent and emerging peace and security challenges, particularly cross-border issues. Ultimately, sustainable and long-lasting peace can only be achieved when women and men are both equally participating and leading the process. So since 2000, UN Women has been the lead agency on the Women, Peace and Security Agenda, leveraging UN Women's normative and coordination mandate to galvanize support from the UN and dialogue partners, as well as our operational mandate to implement the ASEAN WPS project, which is owned and endorsed by ASEAN. UN Women has been a steadfast partner of ASEAN every step from the beginning in 2019 until now in the process to advance the WPS agenda. And at the regional level, we have provided both technical support and facilitate the engagement and leadership of Cambodia in leading the process for development and adoption of the regional plan of action on WPS under the Cambodian chair of ASEAN in 2022. At the country level, UN Women has been supporting a number of ASEAN member states in localizing the regional plan of action, including the development and implementation of national action plans or NAPs that address peace and security challenges in diverse country contexts within ASEAN. We've also worked very closely with civil society and women's organizations in the national and local level to expand the space for constructive engagement with our government partners in conflict prevention, resolution, and recovery.
So how do you see the relevance between WPS and women's political participation and leadership?
Well, in Southeast Asia, we see that this is one of the most unique and diverse regions. It is also seen as largely peaceful.
Right.
Within the existing governance institutions that are functional, regardless of the different governance systems, it is natural to see the common link between advancing the Women, Peace and Security Agenda and women's political participation and leadership, which is the key to inclusive governance, particularly in the realm of policy and decision-making. So first of all, peace and security matter as a regional priority.
Yeah.
This has been underscored by the recent adoption of the ASEAN Regional Plan of Action on WPS at the ASEAN Summit in 2022. Since then, unprecedented momentum to localize the regional plan of action has been observed across various ASEAN member states, ranging from Indonesia to the Philippines to Thailand, Vietnam, and Cambodia, among others. Women's leadership and political participation is an integral part of the regional plan of action and across all the national action plans on WPS, which underscores the importance of women's leadership, participation, and in peace and security decision-making. Addressing gender inequality as a root cause of conflicts, as well as the need to ensure a gender perspective in all conflict prevention, resolution, and recovery are key to ensuring lasting peace. This is indispensable without active participation and leadership of women. More specifically, at the national level, women parliamentarians and political leaders can promote outreach and advocacy for policies and legislations to enhance the role of women in peace and security sectors, including, for example, budget allocation, oversight, and monitoring of the implementation of the various policies and legislation.
Right, thanks. Now, I would like to actually ask both of you. Now, upon the adoption of the AIPA resolution on enhancing ASEAN resilience through women leadership and gender-responsive parliament, the AIPA Secretariat was mandated to develop a plan of action on women's political participation. And how do you think this plan of action can support the integration of the WPS agenda in the ASEAN regional policy? So perhaps Honorable Kheng Samvada can actually answer that first.
Thank you. First, I say that no peace, no women, peace, security, and leadership. So this is the first point. So I believe that mainstreaming the women, peace, and security agenda into the ASEAN regional policies, into the plan of action on women, peace, security, and leadership will be a fundamental step towards sustainable peace and security. Yes, so this is the first one. And by integrating the women, peace, and security agenda in the plan of action of women political participation and leadership. So we recognize that women's perspective and experiences are pivotal in creating policies that contribute to conflict prevention, resolution, and leadership. And women can be and should be involved in all stages of a peace process. And to achieve this integration, women should be empowered with education, training, mentorship program in order to contribute meaningfully to peace-building efforts and to act as active agents for change in conflict prevention, peace building, and mediation. And collaboration between government institutions, development partners, and civil societies, academic experts is key to successfully integrating the women peace security agenda into a plan of action on women peace, on women political participation and leadership. Because we need inputs from everyone to make this plan of action more relevant to the challenges of our century. And by working together, we can create comprehensive policies that address the different challenges faced by women, ensuring their safety, their representation, and active participation in all stages of decision-making for peace, sustainability in the ASEAN region.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Jamshed.
So, from UN Women's perspective, we believe there are 4 concrete ways in which this plan of action can support the integration of the WPS agenda in the ASEAN regional policies. First, the plan has included an explicit aim to increase the number of women parliamentarians as well as their substantive representation, connecting with the women's movement and civil society organizations, as well as future female leaders, including the candidates in the pipeline, to build a cadre of new generation of women leaders, which is very critical to ensure that the governance institutions within ASEAN are inclusive, with both male and female leaders that can bring together diverse viewpoints and perspectives to critical policy solutions on peace and security. Second, it has a strong focus on facilitating good practice, exchanging knowledge and capacity building of policy and lawmakers on gender-responsive policies and decision-making, especially relevant to the Women, Peace and Security Agenda. Third, it emphasizes promoting enabling environment for greater participation and leadership of women, including addressing the very crucial issue of violence against women in politics. This is also critical both at the national and subnational levels within the ASEAN region, especially where there is a risk of escalating social tension and divisions or pre-existing conflicts. It is also critical for prevention of conflict and escalation of tensions in pre- and post-electoral periods. Last but not least, it has a focus on engagement of male champion leaders and parliamentarians in promoting social norms change for inclusive leadership and the participation of women in governance and decision-making. This is critical to promote the Women, Peace and Security Agenda, as the plan is fully aligned with the participation pillar of the ASEAN RPA on Women, Peace and Security. So the plan of action will also be highly complementary with the ASEAN regional and country level efforts to advance the WPS agenda with stronger leadership of women in sectors that women tend to be generally underrepresented in, especially when it comes to governance and decision making.
Now, my final question is, looking ahead, what initiatives should parliamentarians undertake to further support the WPS agenda's advancement? So, Honorable.
Thank you. So, I would like to start by saying that this regional plan of action on women, peace and security, which was adopted by the ASEAN leaders in 2022, is another key milestone for ASEAN, as the region strives to achieve peace, prosperity, and equality for everyone in the region. So last year, on 14 December 2023, the Localization Toolkit and Guidelines for the ASEAN Regional Plan of Action on Women, Peace, Security was launched in Phnom Penh, Cambodia. This aims at helping ASEAN member states to develop national action plan that effectively implement the RPA on WPS and respond to the new peace and security challenges in the region, including climate change, cybersecurity, pandemics, and extremism. So, moreover, it is crucial that the Women, Peace, Security agenda is known and understood by broader audiences to foster understanding, relevance, and positive outcomes. Why we believe in women's transformative roles in sustaining peace and security, a lot remains to be done to support awareness raising and targeted campaign among wider public. So the development process of the National Action Plan on WPS will require inputs from all stakeholders, including government institutions, parliamentarians, development partners, private sector, and civil society organizations. So only through dialogues and synergies that we could have a comprehensive national action plan on WPS, resulting in substantive participation of women in peace building, conflict prevention, socio-economic recovery, and post-conflict resolution. I think it is crucial that we mainstream WPS agenda in all trainings and capacity building activities on gender and development for the parliamentarian. In fact, AIPA will soon be implementing the plan of action on women's political participation and leadership, and WPS agenda can also be integrated into the implementation of this plan. And I also think that parliamentarians can be an important part in the development of National Action Plan on WPS. This can be through the conduct of brainstorming meetings and the establishment of committee consisting of key stakeholders, and through consultative process in order to create ownership and maximize resources. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you, and Jamshed.
So parliamentarians can clearly play a critical role to support the advancement of the WPS agenda in a variety of ways. The focus on women's participation in peace and security needs to extend beyond peace processes and emergencies to the recovery of post-conflict, post-disaster, and post-pandemic societies. This means that governments in the ASEAN region must sustain their investments and commitment to lift women's social, political, and economic development beyond the short-term political cycles or even the aid funding cycles. This includes targeted support for women's rights to education, to employment, income generation, to physical security, as well as bodily integrity, which includes sexual and reproductive rights. Without securing these rights, women and girls do not have life chances that are equal to those of men and boys and are barred from contributing to the prosperity and peace of their region. Adequately financing the WPS agenda should be the first priority for the next decade. This is where parliamentarians will continue to play a key role in providing budget oversight and support for greater allocation of resources to advance the WPS agenda at the national level. Furthermore, the development and implementation of gender-responsive policies and lawmaking related to peace and security will be critical areas that parliamentarians can influence the national policy debate and dialogue to ensure that the WPS agenda is implemented to advance the meaningful role of women in conflict prevention, resolution, and recovery, as well as the broader participation in security sectors. So apart from ensuring wider space for women's participation beyond peace processes and agreement, we need to also enhance institutional capacity for WPS analysis and responses to mainstream gender into peace and security sectors. Similarly, we should also focus on capacity sharing and collaboration between humanitarian, development, and peace actors in the region. This will help them to step out of their comfort zones and promote a more holistic analysis to coherently address people's vulnerabilities, both before, during, and after crises. So addressing gaps in protection, including gender-based violence, requires regional-wide targets, and addressing this is also the key in the ASEAN Comprehensive Recovery Framework as the region has gradually moved beyond COVID-19 recovery. And last but not least, we need stronger emphasis on conflict, crisis prevention in the implementation of WPS in our region. This is also very much in line with ASEAN's Comprehensive Recovery Framework, where gender integration into preparedness of future shocks will be a critical part of risk mitigation and prevention measures.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So we've listened to both our guests' insights with regards to our really topic on women, and especially these 2 days, we are really focusing on women participation in politics. Tomorrow, AIPA is actually looking into our second workshop that will actually be focusing more on the women political participation and leadership, short form for this WPPL, plan of action, and also the implementation framework. And we hope that after that, we have our WIPA coordination committee meeting. This is a very strong, really feedback coming from our members and also our expertise. Our gratitude to our guests today, Mr. Jamshed and also Honorable Kheng Samvada for this. And thank you so much for listening to AIPACAST, and stay tuned for more episodes, and don't forget to follow our social media in AIPA Secretariat. Thank you so much.